Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Dustin Fox, Jason Lloyd, Tyvis Powell, plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I'm G. Bush. We will talk about how aggressive will the Cleveland Browns be in free agency. A little bit of money, a lot of holes. We'll figure it out. Tyvis.
I'm Tyvis Powell, and listen, the Browns got a lot of pending free agents this year. We're going to talk about which ones should they resign. Dustin?
Hey, everybody. Dustin Fox here. The Browns need a quarterback. I've got a name no one's talking about.
Plus, the Guardians do as good a job as any team in Major League Baseball of turning pitchers into stars. But what about turning an outfielder into a pitcher? Is that in the cards for the Guardians? We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But, G, we start with the Cleveland Browns. Free agency officially begins on Wednesday, but the legal tampering period begins on Monday, which means Monday during the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show on YouTube, we'll be getting live updates on any free agents the Browns have agreed to contracts with. They only have $12.9 million in cap space as of this minute, 12:31 on Friday afternoon. How aggressive with that $12.9 million do you anticipate this Browns front office being when the free agency period opens up next week?
Hey, listen, man, it reminds me, when I was younger, man, I used to have like $12.9. I was super aggressive in my mind at Walmart. But it didn't mean like I was coming out of there with the top-notch cereals or no food at all. So $12.9 million might as well be $12.90 when it comes to in terms of NFL money. They don't have nothing. And they had to reschedule Deshaun Watson's contract, restructure just to get that. Like, they have enough to turn on the electricity in Berea. They can still keep the grounds crews, and they can have premium coffee. Other than that, I would not expect nobody for the Browns to be running around here talking about, hey, we got guys in the building. No. They may be able to fill some small roster spots at the end of free agency. But, ladies and gentlemen, Tyvis, don't expect any fireworks.
No, it's not. First of all, I've been there in that same situation where, you got $12.90. You get to the store, you start throwing stuff in the car, and you get to the cash register, and they say, yeah, I ain't got enough for it. I don't really need that.
Babe, put that back. Put that back. We was doing too much.
No, I don't expect them to be too aggressive. I mean, they might be able to get one decent player, maybe. I don't know. You have to stretch it to a 2-year deal to try to make it like $5 or $6 million a year. Like, you got to do something like that to be able to make it work for this year. But I'm not expecting them to make somebody big. I think all their damage will be done in the draft.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to be that aggressive in free agency. They don't have that much money, and they're I don't think going to be that competitive this season anyway. So we're talking about adding guys for depth purposes. You got to have those linebackers. You got to have the safeties. You got to have some depth at wide receiver. So they could add some pieces, but it's not going to be sexy. It's not going to be flashy names. Mm-hmm. They're not going to go pay big money to a Sam Darnold or a quarterback out there. So it's going to be very interesting to see how the Browns proceed. Also to find out how they proceed in terms of, like, do they think that they can compete? Because if they can, they'll tell us by their actions.
Yeah, McNuggets.
When you look at this Browns roster as of right now, they have holes at quarterback, running back, receiver. There's questions on the offensive line. They may need a pass rusher. They need some linebackers. They may need some safeties. That's at least 8 of the 11 positions on a football field that need to be addressed. You can't spend $1 million on each of those positions. That's not how free agency works. But to Dustin's point, I think we are going to get a key into Andrew Berry's thinking and how close this Browns team is, depending on how they parse up that money. Do they go for veterans like the Mo Hurst, the Shelby Harrises, who were productive contributors on incredibly cheap deals, or do they try to put all that money into a younger player who hit the market, who may be around for 2, 3, 4 years and could be part of the rebuilding process?
Here's a novel thought. How's about they fill those roster spots with guys they drafted in previous years? What if you got guys to play up to snuff? Maybe you get Cedric Tillman the ball out. You're like, oh, we got a number 2 receiver. How about Zach Zinner? Hey, we got a guy over here. Listen, he's going to take over for, Batonio or Teller. Or maybe even we get somebody that's going to take up for Juan Thorne, who they are going to cut. Maybe you get a guy like one of your Buckeye guys.
Ronnie Hickman.
There you go. That's really where people really build.
I mean,
it's through the previous years, guys.
I mean, well, at this point, those positions and those names and guys that you're talking about, they've been in the system. Zach Zinter is probably the youngest because this will be year 2 for him. But at this time, you got to show some glimpses. It should be something in there. Obviously, you changed your offensive line coach, so obviously you'll have to get him up to speed. You're going back to the old offensive system that you ran when everything was all great. So maybe that will help a lot of these younger guys, speed up their development there as far as the offensive line goes. And Ronnie Hickman is an undrafted guy, so he's dirt cheap, and he's very productive when he's been out there. I think the linebacker position is the one that's kind of scares me a little bit the most on defense because of the JOK situation. And I believe Jordan Hicks is –
I thought he was a one-year player.
Yeah, I think he was. So if that's the case, we're left with Diabate,
Bookie Watson. Hey, do your thing.
Diabate, all right.
Yeah. Diabate is the only guy that I can think of at the linebacker room because
Jordan Hicks is still with the Browns.
Oh, okay. Well, they still got Jordan Hicks, so that's something that they still got to address as well. But a name we are going to target somebody in free agency. I still want them to get my boy Dre'Mon Jones, a Cleveland native, a Buckeye with the St. Ignatius.
Free agent
yeah,
again?
they released him. The Seahawks released him, so I can't imagine that he would have required that much money. Because if you probably got released, you're probably still getting some type of coin from the old team. So I would imagine he wouldn't be that expensive. He's a Buckeye, plays defensive tackle. I think if you put him in there next to another Buckeye, Mike Hall, the Buckeyes do really well. So I think that's something that they should look into.
No Joey Bosa. I know he got.
He's too expensive.
No
Too
Bosa
expensive.
for you guys.
Too
No
expensive.
No DK Metcalf talk. There's a lot of.
If they want to listen, if they
want
want to trade for DK, I'm totally fine with that. Like that's not the whole will he want to come here thing. That's a whole nother story. But if it's no denying the fact that if you put him with a Judy, a Njoku, and him, and you go get you a Flacco or Kirk Cousins or even a rookie quarterback, at least he has weapons to throw the ball to. So you're at least helping him out in that aspect to at least let him be productive in his first year.
Yeah, Dustin, I'm with you. I don't think they're not at that point in their career arc or the arc of the organization at this point. I think we've been used to a little bit guys going forward. We've been restructuring deals and being aggressive free agency. I think this signifies that this is a more of a regular approach. That hey, we're in more of a rebuilding season.
Yeah.
We're looking to fill roster spots, not big names with big salaries attached to it.
No, they're not in a position to add, big-time, high-paid guys to this roster because they're just not there yet. Yeah. It's going to be a team that, because of the Watson thing, they've had to scale back the amount of money that they have, and they now have to try and get assets here. That's why, obviously, the Myles Garrett thing will be interesting and fascinating to watch throughout the rest of this offseason. But they need to draft good young players, and they have to hit. I mean, they have to have a very high percentage of hit rates, guys, on these draft picks in this upcoming draft.
Nuggets.
So drafting is part of the equation for the Browns to fill out their roster for next year. The other part is free agency, and the Browns have 4 key free agents of their own who are about to hit the open market. Nick Chubb, Jed Wills, Elijah Moore, and Jameis Winston are their top 4 free agents entering the next week of chaos in the NFL. Tyvis, of those 4, who do you think they will re-sign, and who do you think they should try and re-sign? 2-part question.
Okay. I know that Mary Kay has come out and written the article about the fact that Nick Chubb probably played his last season here. Out of those 4 names up there, he is the only one that I would bring back out of those 4. And everybody knows how I feel about Elijah Moore. It hurts my heart to say this, that number 8 didn't get to what he was supposed to be here in Cleveland. But Nick Chubb is the only one that I would bring back for the simple fact that you need that veteran leadership. Yes, he's 2 years removed from the knee injury, which a lot of people say when you 2 years removed, that's when you start seeing yourself get back to those old things. Yes, I'm aware he messed his foot up in the last season, which caused his season to end early last year, and he's coming from that. But we don't have any veteran presence, a guy that's been there at the highest level, that's been considered one of the best running backs, one of the guys that how he does his business. You want those. If you're going to draft a running back, and I believe the Browns should at some point, because they say edge rushers and running backs is loaded in this draft class. So I do suspect that they will take one at some point in this draft. But if you are getting one of those young running backs out of this draft, you would want them to look up to a Nick Chubb to understand, like, this is what I need to do, how this guy works, how he goes about his business. This is why he was so successful. So to even have him in there for locker room morale, I would have him in there for that as well, because there's no denying the fact that everybody, not in that locker room, but in the city of Cleveland, respect Nick Chubb. So if I had to pick one, he would be the only one.
I mean, Nick Chubb would cost you a few million
pennies on a dollar.
I mean, very
pennies on a dollar.
Few dollars.
Maybe that's why they letting him go, to set it so he could set his own market.
Okay, maybe that's the case. You think there's a chance he still comes back after testing the market?
Yeah, maybe they say if a team say we're gonna give you $2 million and the Browns say, well, we'll match the $2 million. Listen, listen, I'm gonna give y'all some inside scoop. A lot of people say, get me the most money and I'll leave. And then the agent goes out there and get them a place where it's a different team with more money, and they still hesitate. Well, go back and ask my team, could they get close to that and I'll stay. Like, so a lot of people talk like I leave, but if you've been somewhere and you've built something, it is kind of hard to just get up and walk away. So I feel like if Nick Chubb went out and say the Raiders said, we'll give you $2 million, and the Browns came back and said, we'll match your $2 million, I think he'd stay in Cleveland.
Man, for me, this is a no-brainer. I mean, this dude is the fan favorite. He's the heart and soul of your team. We all knew he was coming back 70, 80% last year. You don't get back to where you need to go off of ACL and multiple knee injuries until that second year. My problem is this. Give him you got $12.9 million. You can't sign nobody else anyway. All the regular, guys are going to be through the drive. I give him $5 million. Hey, come on back here. I at least need you in that locker room. I need you to show these young running backs how to move and be a true professional. And more than anything, I am not letting you go to Pittsburgh. I am not letting you go to Baltimore. And I'm not going to live with seeing you carve us up in Cincinnati. Under no circumstances. We got to start doing well and right by our guys and keeping our guys home and saying, Hines Ward didn't play for nobody else. I'm not letting Nick Chubb play for nobody else. We'll figure it out later.
The Browns have an issue at quarterback. They will most likely draft a quarterback, but we've gone over a ton of different options for potential bridge quarterbacks, but one was just added to the mix this week when Gardner Minshew was let go by the Las Vegas Raiders. Dustin, do you think Gardner Minshew makes any sense for the Browns in terms of potentially being the bridge quarterback along with the rookie in 2025?
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think he makes a lot of sense for the Browns. Also depends on what they want to do in terms of do they want to go younger in terms of the bridge? Because they could go with Flacco, who's like 38, or they could go with Minshew, who's 28. Okay, Minshew started 46 games. You've got Flacco who started 9,000 games. Like, so what do you need from that position? Minshew, I love Gardner Minshew. I mean, he's scrappy. He's gonna give you some good moments. Probably not going to be a franchise quarterback. Still early in his career that he could maybe get an opportunity. But I think for Cleveland, I mean, that guy would come in here and grind. The fans would obviously love him because he's like a blue collar type of dude. He's a good runner. He's very athletic. Like he's just a solid guy who's going to win you some games. I don't think he's going to win you playoff games or win you a Super Bowl, but I think he's a good locker room guy, and he'll be relatively inexpensive.
I agree with everything you just said, and the part that I really agree with is the fact that who he is as a person fits Cleveland. A guy that fought for everything, a guy that's been overlooked, but yet he's still fighting and scratching and clawing. And just when you count him out, boom, he still find a way to be productive and come back and beat you in a game. I think that, honestly, he's one of the guys that I think could catch lightning in a bottle. We talk about all these quarterbacks that Kevin Stefanski's been able to groom up. I feel like in this system, You know, if we can get the Joe Flacco's, the Jacoby Brissett's, and all these other quarterbacks that's done really well under Kevin Stefanski in this system, Gardner Minshew have shown you he can make the big time throws. And I think the ability to be mobile, because when he played us, when he was with the Colts, he was killing us with the zone reads. So to have the ability to be mobile, you know, and we're going back to the zone reads and the bootlegs, if it's not there and this guy can scramble and take off, and I think he's one of those guys that'll put his body on the line, you know, and stuff like that, I think guys will rally around him because of the fight that he has. So I wouldn't be opposed to it. I'd be cool with Gardner Minshew being the Browns bridge quarterback for a year.
He fits the mold of a person that Browns fans can cheer, get around, and like. At this point, after last season, we talked about it on the YouTube show. The Browns need to get to a point where they can make Sundays fun again for Browns fans and get somebody that can give you an opportunity. At the end of the last year, they didn't have nobody that can give them opportunity when they put DTR in the game. You knew it was a wrap and you knew what it was. My short list is, Gardner Minshew is available. I love the fact that he can scramble, he can move around. I like the fact Joe Flacco is available. You can look at Jacoby Brissett, who's been here before. And then, the long shot, depending on what the Falcons do with his contract, is Kirk Cousins. All four of those guys, high character dudes, can run the play action, can run the boots, can do all of those good things. And, they can give you a nice bridge that if you want to draft a quarterback, you won't have no problem with that guy picking up bad habits, doing a lot of other different things. And you kill two birds with one stone. You get your franchise guy too, and you can actually mess around and get some guys that can win you some football games and make the thing look interesting. So I ain't got no problem with Gardner Minshew. He's definitely on my short list of guys I would bring in.
The Kirk Cousins thing scares me.
Because of the injury?
Yeah, because he lost a lot of his mobility. He wasn't that mobile to begin with.
Right.
So if we go get a Kirk Cousins, our offensive line better be unbelievable because he ain't avoiding no sacks.
And the rookie better be ready. I think that's see, there's levels of it. One of them can finish a year. The other one, you're looking at a rookie being in 5-6 games possibly due to injury or if they can get it done or not.
Yeah.
When we come back, we talked about a lot about football, but when we come back, we're going to get into the Gardos. Could the Guardians make an outfielder a pitcher? We'll talk about it coming up next, right here on the UCSS show. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Listen, when I heard this next story, I was like, hey, that's a name I remember. Tyler Naquin, a outfielder. I said, wasn't he with the Gardos before?
He was, 2016, you remember?
Yeah.
Dude.
But now they want to make him a pitcher. McNuggets, this is fascinating.
Zach Meisel reported it yesterday, Steve, you want to take tag board full, but they are signing Tyler Naquin to a minor league deal as a pitcher. According to Zach, he ranked in the 99th, 98th, and 94th percentiles in arm strength as an outfielder. He did spend 5 years here with the Guardians. We know the Guardians have a track record of turning pitchers into their best version of themselves. Travis, can they turn an outfielder into a bullpen weapon?
I'm telling you right now, I love the fact that they are up for this challenge because the one thing I'm never going to do is question pitching for the Guardians. Like, yes, I know last year, he had some injuries and guys didn't really give them to their full potential, but you cannot deny the fact that some of the journeymen that they bring along, they play their best ball here when they're with the Guardians. And if his arm is strong and he can get some touch and some spins on it, it can work out. Listen, it's in the minors, so it's not like I don't know the chances we'll see him in the majors, but to have that talent and to see them pull this off, like I have no choice but to applaud the Guardians pitching staff. That this would be remarkable.
Listen, it's a minor league contract. He's 33 years old. We're in the middle of March when there's not much going on in baseball, so this was like a topic. It's a topic today. It was a topic on MLB Network yesterday. If we're in the middle of the season, like no one's talking about this.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a cool story. Obviously, if it pans out, I think it'd be a miracle. But if it does, it'd be amazing, and it would be another feather in the cap of the Guardians front office and their scouting department and their pitching development team. Like everything that they've done and have done with the pitching staff, it's been they touch it, it turns to gold. So I guess it's certainly possible. I wouldn't bet on it. A 33-year-old outfielder becoming a legitimate, relief pitcher.
I don't know.
But I'm okay.
I don't
it's
know.
fine. It's a great story.
If we look up Dustin and they say he in the minors striking guys out, I'm gonna be like, hey,
right.
I ain't gonna lie. I would want to see it at least for one game in the major just to see.
Do you remember when Tim Tebow was playing baseball?
Yes.
He was actually hitting home runs a little bit, kind of, in the minors.
A little bit, kind of?
A little bit, sort of, kind of, sort of. A little bit, like, not really, though, but he was kind of
Like
a little
Michael
bit.
Jordan at the
Yeah,
plate?
like, when in the minor leagues, A-ball is like, and double A is like the circus a little bit. Like, they come to town, you be wanting to see people that can hit the ball out. Now the Savannah Bananas is out here. Now, it's a different game. Now, I'm not going to double A games. I'm going to go see them. But I will say this. He's 33, like you said. He's trying to create a buzz. He's trying to stay. I think it's one of those things where you're 1 foot out of the league, and this is a last-ditch effort to stay in the league,
Yep.
right? So who knows? Pitching is one of the hardest things to do besides golf and playing quarterback. Pitching is very difficult. He throws the ball hard, but he have control. Can he get people out? It's a lot of things involved in that, but good for him. Hopefully, he gets an opportunity. I think it's a fun little story. Now, if he breaks A-ball and makes a roster and comes up and throws, now we talking about something, Tyvus. I'm not going to knock
It's a different thing. Like, it's not like you're moving from corner to safety.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like moving from safety to quarterback.
Right. Like, and the last time you played quarterback was like
high school.
In middle school.
right,
Like,
whatever.
But listen, Bull was on the show a couple of days ago, and he was talking about the Guardians' best prospects, and they're down the list. Like, we way down. Like on MLB's top 100, we down the list. So if we got to get some pitchers somewhere, like. If they can make it work with a guy with a strong arm and find some command on his pitch, that's a steal.
Listen, coming up next, we'll get into something we don't talk about often, soccer. Soccer is coming to Cleveland, but where, when, how? We'll talk about it next right here on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Welcome back to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. Cleveland is getting a brand new soccer team, and we got the renderings and drawings ready for you right now. $50 million this thing costs, and it looks like everybody's in the mood for buying stadiums and ballparks and all that good stuff. So the soccer team, we don't know specifically what team is going to be or what league it's going to play in, but guys, what do you think about the drawings? Are you excited for soccer? Is this something that you will, take your kids to, and you think it'll be exciting for the area?
I mean, it's always exciting anytime you can have a new professional sports team in town. I'm not a big soccer fan just by my nature. I mean, I've never really played it and never really been around it, but I'm all about watching competitive sports, and my kids love watching anything that's fun like this. So I think it'll be interesting to see how this pans out. If it does look like that and the team is in town and they're playing games, I'll be going.
Now, McNuggets, does this say anything about where specifically this thing is going to sit?
According to the Cleveland Soccer Group, it is a proposed site on it's called the South Gateway Stadium in the South Gateway District across the street from Progressive Field.
I didn't know they had no land over there,
I
Tyvus.
didn't either.
Knocking down buildings? What's
I
going
was
on?
sitting there when I first seen this. I was like, wait a minute, it's across the street from Progressive. So like the parking lot? I don't know, but I tell you what, it does look nice, and I agree. I mean, listen, I got a 4-year-old daughter who keeps saying that she wants to play soccer. And listen, if that's the case and she starts to love soccer, I would love to take her to some Columbus Crew games. I'd take her to some of these Cleveland games, just so she could be around it and see the sport. Soccer is a wonderful sport. I never grew up playing it, but
Look nice.
it does. This looks very nice.
Has there ever been a stadium rendering that doesn't look nice?
You're right.
Yeah, you got a point there.
They be hyping people up. They hype all the
but
people up.
I feel like they be looking somewhat like what
They
this
do,
look
right?
like,
This,
so-
I'm like, look at this little area down. Listen, I'll eat at that restaurant in a heartbeat. I have no budget for food, but like I'll spend all kind of stuff over a good meal. Hey, look, we sit right there, man. Welcome to the home of the Cleveland Pro Soccer Team. I'm interested to see who's gonna play down there. They don't know exactly the league or if it's
Bring it back to Crunch? Are we going to call it the Crunch?
Do
Do we have a name yet? Or
No.
They don't even have a league yet.
How they getting this money too?
I'm not
That's
quite
what
sure.
I want to
It's a great
know. Where the
question.
money
I don't have
come
the
from?
answer.
we was talking about the Browns stadium. They didn't snuck a soccer stadium out of nowhere.
I'm like, man, Jimmy and D done got another franchise. They got 6. They like,
well,
yeah.
hey, he's part owner of the crew, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he got his hand in this.
He's somebody like I
It's like he's playing a game of Monopoly right now with sports teams.
right. Like I got the Bucks,
Got the Bucks, got the crew.
Yeah, I'm
got the
getting-
Browns.
Listen, hey Dan Gilbert, you want to trade the? Give me some of these Cavs. Nah, not really. I'm sorry, I was just playing. We gotta go. Have a great weekend.
We like winning.
We like W's here. Peace.